The ear-piercing roar shook my body, tilting my whole world and paralyzing me in fear. My body betrayed me, throwing me to the ground, and once I gained the courage to open my eyes, all I could focus on was Duke. There he was, right next to me, hunched over, clutching his head as if he was trying to hold his thoughts together. I quickly shut my eyes, trying to undo whatever had occurred. We were supposed to be having a fun senior year spring break, but now all I can think about is how to escape this nightmare. Senior year spring break is the time you're supposed to spend with your best friends before picking up your life and restarting at a brand new school in a new town. All 4 of us decided on schools in 4 different towns, meaning that in 3 months, we will all be separated. Henry came up with a smart idea to sneak out late at night and camp at Yellowstone, a common rite of passage for high schoolers in Cook City, Montana. I would have vetoed Henry's idea if I had known the horrors that would occur. The engine rattled along the unpaved road as Elle's playlist started cutting out. Double quote, "Shoot, I forgot to download these songs. There's no Wi-Fi," complained Elle. Double quote, "You idiot, you do realize we're in the middle of Yellowstone right now, Henry, didn't you bring the satellite hub?" Duke sneered while keeping his eyes on the road. Henry lifts his eyes from the road map and states, "No, my parents keep it in their bedroom. I wasn't able to grab it when I snuck out, plus we will be back in the morning." Elle sighs, "Well, I guess we will have to just do without music for the ride." I laugh from the enjoyment I get from my friends arguing and say, "Don't worry, guys, we're not far from the campsite. I can give us the rest of the directions." Henry begins folding up the map and stuffing it into his backpack. Duke reaches over across the seat and gives my hand a comforting squeeze, and whispers, "Beth, it's gonna be so hard being away from you. I'm glad we have this one last trip together." I squeeze his hand back and say, "Don't worry, not even 100 miles could keep me away from you." As the car rolls to a stop, everyone eagerly jumps out. Henry and Duke are already grabbing everyone's bags and discussing who has to carry what. I gaze around the parking lot and start to orient myself with the surroundings. Ever since I was little, my family would come camping here every summer, so I know these trails like the back of my hand. I identify the trail, even though it looks a little more trimmed than last year, and begin to wave my friends over to follow me. The feeling of the fresh breeze gliding across my skin energizes me, and I remember why I love hiking so much. Elle says, "Oh my gosh, my parents are going to die if they find out I snuck out to go camping tonight." Double quote, "Yeah, mine will be so mad but also impressed," gleams Duke. Double quote, "Well, I'm hoping that my parents never find out about our little trip or I'll be grounded for the rest of the summer." I sigh, and Henry teases, "Come on, every student at our school has to do the overnight camping challenge at least once before they graduate, and this is our time to make that memory." Elle interjects, "I hope we all live near each other after college, so we can continue to make memories together." Double quote, "Well, who knows where Henry and I may end up after we get out of drama school." I reply, double quote, "Let's travel the world. We can all reunite. Well, of course, after Beth and I star in our first big Hollywood movie." Henry jokes while laughing. Duke starts listing off all of the adventurous destinations he can think of, creating a perfect fantasy future for us all. As the others continue to chat, I pull out my journal documenting the plans and ideas thrown out about who will be the richest, who's going to have the most kids, and who will get married first, even though I secretly hope it's Duke and me. The moon shines brightly through the tree branches as the campground comes into view. I whip around, excitedly announcing we have made it to the campsite. As I look at my friends, Henry blinds me with his flashlight, and as my eyes adjust, I notice Elle is still lugging herself through the trail. Double quote, "I'm gassed, that was way too much walking for the middle of the night." As Elle catches her breath, Henry moves her flashlight over to her and asks where her bag is. Elle checks over her shoulder, confused, and then begins to freak out. Double quote, "Oh gosh, I thought you boys took it. Why the heck would you leave it there?" Henry yells back, "Oh my gosh, I left it on the ground by the trunk for you to grab. I can't hold everything for you." Elle shoves Henry, "Are you kidding? I need my fuzzy socks. How am I supposed to camp without them?" Duke interferes, tearing Elle away from Henry. "Guys, can we please just chill? This is our last trip all together, so let's just have some fun." Henry huffs, "Okay, let's just make a fire and get this all started." As he walks towards the fire pit, as the night goes on, we all laugh, sharing memories and stories around the fire. The air is cool, and I feel a sense of nostalgia watching us all reminisce while knowing that soon our daily lives will no longer consist of each other. Laughter breaks me out of my daze as Henry laughs. Dude, remember when a petrifying boom rattles the earth, cutting Henry short and leaving us all lying paralyzed on the ground. I open my eyes to reality and see Duke stunned on the ground, quickly reshutting them to try and block out the confusion. Time goes by slowly until Duke lifts me by my shoulders and begins mouthing words. Everything is silent, so I start to focus my eyes on where Henry and Elle are, spread out around the fire. The two of them are also holding their ears. I look up, and the sky now looks hazy. The moon is no longer visible, and slowly, my hearing is returning. I feel my lungs become scratchy and see that smoke is quickly taking over the campsite. The dark grey ash washes over us like a tidal wave as Duke helps me up to my feet and reaches for his backpack. I steady myself and begin to try to make sense of what is happening when I notice that Elle is still on the ground, frantically holding her chest, coughing. I start to feel the air thicken and realize everything around us is smoky. The campfire has broken apart in the boom and is no longer lit, so the smoke must be coming from a different source, and this is when I realize that the volcano must have erupted. I rush over to Elle, who is collapsed on the ground. Her coughing fit has gotten worse. I scream to the boys, "Where is her inhaler?" Horror washes over their faces as Duke yells back, "She left her bag at the car, we don't have it." I yell, "We need to get out of here now. She's having an asthma attack from the smoke. The volcano must have erupted, and we need her inhaler." Henry, confused, yells back, "What are you talking about? It hasn't erupted in hundreds of years." Duke cuts in, "Forget about it, we need her inhaler now, we need to leave." Frantically, we begin to leave towards the trail, but Elle is unable to walk and is now gasping for air. Unable to talk, Elle grasps onto Henry's shirt, begging for help. Immense fear hits the group as they realize the severity of Elle's condition. I scream, "What can we do? Her asthma is so bad without her inhaler, she won't make it back to the car even if we carry her." Henry hurls Elle over his shoulder and states, "I'll carry her while you two book it to the car, grab the inhaler, and meet us back halfway. It's the only way to get it to her quickly." Unsure if we're making the right idea, we all agree that Duke and I take off. Sprinting down the trail, my feet catch rocks and sticks, finally sending me tumbling to the ground. The air around us is so thick that visibility is almost zero. Duke helps me up to my feet when we hear a blood-curdling scream. Duke exclaims what we are both thinking. "That was Henry." I respond, "They must need help. What if something happened to Elle?" Duke instantly understands what I'm suggesting and nods in agreement, so we begin backtracking down the trail. As we make our way down the path, I once again trip on a log, sending both Duke and me into a pile on the ground. I instantly push myself to sit as Duke screams. I whip myself around and become face to face with Elle's body. I frantically scatter backwards, screaming while Duke goes to take Elle's pulse. I panic and begin crying while pleading. "What happened? Is she dead? Where is Henry?" Duke tries to calm me down, but I won't have it while he tells me we need to go and find Henry. I tightly grip onto Elle's shoulders, shaking her, begging her to wake up, until Duke pries me off of her, picking me up as I fight back. Duke continues holding me as he continues looking for Henry while screaming his name. After a few minutes, I gain some composure and start to become familiar with the path. Tears stream down my face as I remember the massive ravine only a few hundred feet away from the path. Double quote, "Duke, don't you think Henry would have answered you by now? We just heard him scream from this area not too long ago, and maybe he found his way back to the car." Duke sets me down, and I take a look at his face. His eyes are puffed up and red. As I try to take a deep breath, the thick air chokes up my lungs, and I start to feel the hot ashes searing into my skin. Duke solemnly addresses me, stating, "Elle, we need to get out of here now. Henry can take care of himself, but if we stay here any longer, we will not make it out." With the smoke clouding my brain, I agree, so all I can focus on is surviving this nightmare and getting home to my family. As we near the end of the trail, I can barely recognize where I'm going. My eyes burn with the only relief being my tears washing away the ash. My only source of direction to guide us to the car is my memories, and the air is hot and barely breathable. making it hard for me to focus. My fight or flight instinct is the only thing keeping me going as an opening comes into view. I shout frantically that we have made it to the car as Duke continues running while slinging his backpack onto one arm, searching for the car keys. Unable to find them, we pause at a few hundred feet from the car, using our only sense left. We begin feeling around inside the bag. As I'm feeling around, it becomes noticeable that the smoke we have been inhaling has caused our perception to be distorted. I look up and notice shadows all around us in the smoke. Duke holds up the keys and exclaims, "I found the keys," as I notice a large black shadow engulfing him as he's ripped backwards, screaming. The keys fly out of his hands towards me as I frantically rush in the direction he was pulled, while hearing his howls of agony. Once he comes into view, all I see is red, a massive brown bear's claws ripping into Duke's chest. Words can't escape my lips with the amount of fear I feel inside my body, and before I know it, Duke's gone. Barely any time passes before I dart backwards, grab the keys, and rush to turn on the car, adrenaline running through my veins. The car is filled with ash as I put it into reverse and speed out of the lot. Unable to see or think properly, I try my best to visualize the road, not paying any attention to where I'm going or how fast, but focused on getting as far away from this unbreathable air as possible. I can feel the car swerving and losing control as the ash mixes with my tears, and thoughts of Elle, Henry, and my sweet Duke fill my head. Plans of going to drama school with Henry and fulfilling our dreams as actors, becoming mums together with Elle, and marrying Duke are no longer my future, but ideas that will haunt me until I die. The ash is burning my eyes so badly that I take my hands off the wheel for a second to grab my sleeve and wipe my eyes dry, when the car veers off to the left and hits a bump, sending it into the air, colliding like a ram into a tree. My body thrashes forward, my skull slamming into the windshield, and before I know it, memories flash before my eyes of my family, friends, and Duke, until I fade into darkness.